All right, guys. So in this video, we're going to be converting linear equations to standard form, okay? So what that means, standard form is going to look like this. AX plus BY equals C. Okay, so we're going to want to make sure that all of our equations are in this form, AX plus BY equals C. A, B, and C all need to be integers, no fractions, no decimals, okay? So let's look at the first one here. Y equals negative 3x plus 9, okay? So again, I need the x and the y on the same side. So I'm going to need to move that 3x term over to the left side, okay? Well, if it's negative on the right side, when it moves over and changes to the left side, we have to change the sign, so it's going to become positive. All right, so 3x plus y, the 9 stayed put, so 3x plus y equals 9, okay? Notice that's the same as standard form, so we're good to go here, okay? So only one step there. Second one. Y plus 6 equals 3 times the quantity here, x minus 1, okay? So, again, we want to get x and y on the same side, but first I need to kind of clean up this right side. I'm going to use the distributive property. I've got to multiply 3 times x, and then I've got to multiply 3 times negative 1, okay? So, left side's unchanged, y plus 6. On the right side now I have 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3, okay? Now, I'm going to move this 6 over to the right side first. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. So that's going to leave y by itself on the left side. And then the right side, the 3x stays the same, but then I've got negative 3 minus this 6. So negative 3 minus 6 is going to be negative 9. Okay? Just like up here in part A, we're going to move the 3x over to the left side now. We got to change the sign. So negative 3x plus y equals negative 9. Remember that sign there in front of the 9 has to stay with it. Okay? Now, in some cases, it's good to just leave it like that. In some cases, we want standard form to have a leading coefficient, this coefficient of x, to be positive. So if you want it to be like that, we can just change all three of these signs. It's like multiplying everything by negative 1. And it changes all the signs, so negative 3x becomes the opposite of that, positive 3x. Positive y becomes negative y, negative 9 becomes positive 9, okay? These two equations are equivalent, okay? Both of them are considered to be in standard form, but in some cases, you might want that a value to be positive, and if so, you would have to change everything, that sign there by multiplying by negative 1, okay? All right, let's move on to part C here. We've got a fraction. First thing I want to do, I'm going to multiply everything by what the common denominator is. I want to eliminate fractions in the first step. And 5 is the denominator. So I'm going to multiply every term by 5, okay? So on the left side, I'm going to multiply by 5. On the right side, I have to use the distributive property. It's 5 times this binomial here, okay? So now I got to use the distributive property to clean this up, okay? So the left side becomes, these 5's cancel out. Left side becomes 5y. When I'm simplifying here, these 5's cancel out, and that leaves me with 2x, okay? Then I've got to multiply that 5 times that negative 1, and I get negative 5, okay? So distributive property and a little bit of simplifying there, okay? We're going to move the 2x over to the left side. It becomes negative. So that gives me negative 2x plus 5y equals negative 5, okay? Just like up here, the a value is negative. If we want it to be positive, we can just multiply everything by negative 1. That's going to keep a balanced equation, and that would give us positive 2x minus 5y equals positive 5. Okay, again, just change all three of the signs. All right, let's move on to the last one here. The common denominator, here I've got a 4. Here I've got an 8, so we want the denominator, the least common denominator that these could have in common, okay? And that's going to be 8. So I'm going to multiply the left side by 8, and I'm going to multiply the right side by 8, okay? So we got to use the distributive property, okay? And I'm going to show this step because I want to simplify. I need to simplify a couple times. So 8 times y simplifies to 8y. Notice I've got 8 times negative 3/4 x. And I've got 8 times 5/8, okay? So when I start to simplify here and clean this up, multiply That 8 and that 4 is going to cancel out. It's going to leave me with a 2. There would be a 2 right here. Okay? So I've got 2 times negative 3x. Okay? So this is going to simplify to negative 6x. 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. These 8s are going to cancel out, and it's just going to leave me with that 5. Okay? So 8y, that stays the same. This simplified to 2 times negative 3x, or negative 6x. And again, here the 8's canceled out, and I'm left with just a 5. So I bring that down. All right. Let's move the x term back over to the left side to get it in standard form. And that leaves me with 6x plus 8y equals 5. The a value here is already positive, so we're going to leave it like that. And that would be our only answer. Okay. So that's how you convert linear equations that are in a different form to standard form.